Niger Delta in Nigeria. And we have here a copy of the US State Department's travel warning. It basically warns Americans not to travel to the region, and it says that all Americans that are already in the area should leave. Car bombings, kidnappings of foreigners have been on the rise recently. And this violence is basically all due to one thing: oil. Nigeria is Africa's largest oil producer and the US's fifth largest energy supplier. With global demand for oil on the rise, Nigeria is of growing strategic importance to world energy supplies. But the country's oil-producing region, the Niger Delta, has quickly become one of the most unstable places on Earth. In the past year, militants have kidnapped over 100 foreign oil workers and attacked dozens of oil pipelines and facilities. Many claim to be a part of an increasingly organized insurgency fighting for a greater cut of the region's oil wealth.
We have been pushed to the world, seriously. By the grace of God, we are going to prevail.
Attacks in the Delta have cut oil production by up to a third, which means billions of dollars in lost revenue for Nigeria and higher oil prices for the rest of the world. In short, what happens in these distant swamps affects not only Nigeria, but all of us. Oil shades everything here. It's a permanent backdrop. From the helicopters transporting foreign oil workers that constantly buzz overhead, to the failed promises of development and prosperity. Despite producing tens of billions of dollars worth of oil every year, that's 80% of Nigeria's total revenue, the Niger Delta remains one of the poorest regions in the country. Most live on $1 or less a day. As the center of the oil industry, people come to Port Harcourt looking for work. But the problem is that the number of people far outstrips the number of jobs, and the city's growing population is increasingly condemned to life in the slums.
They're playing football on top of the garbage now, as you see.
What they're explaining is that this was all water before, and they used the waste and the sewage to sort of expand the neighborhood and be able to build houses on top of the waste and the sewage. So it's a landfill. This is the toilet. So you can see that this is a toilet. It's basically a hole on the floor right here. You can actually see all the feces floating right here.
And
look at this.
In an oil state like this, there are not supposed to be people living like this. You understand?
Where do you think all the money, the oil money, is going to? Where is it?
We don't know.
Well, in fact, a good chunk of that money is simply lost to corruption. Here's a staggering finding by Nigeria's own anti-corruption watchdog, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. It estimates that between 1960 and 1999, Nigerian leaders wasted or stole nearly $400 billion in oil revenue. That's roughly the same as all of the foreign aid given to all of Africa during the same period. And recently, the Commission opened investigations on 31 of Nigeria's 36 governors, including the former governor of this region, who is accused of stealing almost $1 billion. They're all saying that there's no electricity here, there's no potable water. When it rains, this area gets all flooded, there are no jobs, so they're angry. And that's why they're saying that they understand why there's an increase in violence.
The violence is going to be more worse than this. If they refuse to provide jobs for us.
Unemployment.
They are going to kill more people, they will kill more people, they will burn houses, kidnap more people, destroy more people. I'm telling you out of anger, because God knows I'm angry. Oh
my gosh. All these cars that you see here are queuing for the gas station. There's been a shortage of fuel in the last few days. They say that's a very common occurrence here. Ironically, Africa's largest oil producer imports nearly all of its fuel.
Basically what happens is that oil has to be refined to become diesel or gasoline. And the problem here is that there are only 4 refineries in the whole country, and some of them aren't even working, and the ones that are operating aren't working to full capacity.
To get a better sense of the history of oil in Nigeria, we took a trip back to where it all began.
So this is it, oil well number 1. This is where it all began. The first oil well in Nigeria. It was built by Shell in 1956.
Well number 1 pumped oil for 2 decades before Shell shut down operations in 1977. And a few years ago, former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo pledged to commemorate the site of the country's first oil well with an educational center.
This is a foundation stone that was laid here in 2001 as the start of an oil and gas research institute. This was 6 years ago, and the only thing that's here is the stone, which is completely abandoned now as there's overgrown grass all around it.
But this monument and the rusting well are about all the village of Otuabagi has to show for years of oil production, says Chief Inoru Dixon.
From 56 to this present day, no project to the size of a matchbox is completed for this community.
Chief believes that Shell and the Nigerian government took advantage of the fact that nobody in his village really knew what oil was. In fact, when oil first started flowing here, villagers came up with their own uses for it.
Some people say it's medicinal and it cures some ailments, so they give to children suffering from measles.
From measles?
Measles, they give it to the children to drink so that it kills the measles in the stomach.
Just recently, Shell said they wanted to return and re-tap some wells here.
What was the reaction of the community to those promises?
Well, you cannot kill them. Shell is Mr. Government.
What Dixon means is that the Nigerian government is a majority partner in every oil venture in the country, including Shell.
The major stakeholder is federal government. Are you going to fight the federal government?
Dixon isn't just talking about some bureaucratic battle. The strong arm of the government easily reaches into these communities, as we soon found out.
Another way of using it is better that way.
Just one more question. Can we continue?
Sure.
We're from an American television station, Current TV.
Current TV.
Yes. How are you doing? My name is Mariana. Nice to meet you too.
Darren.
There were some foreign people in here. And because of the state and spate of kidnapping going on, I was concerned. Let me come and know what the mission is all about. Before you now find that there's a kidnap in my community.
Thank you so much for your concern. I see there are a lot of people here. And you have the police and the military with you?
Yeah.
Hello. How are you? So you think we have to be careful with our
You have to be
security
careful
here?
with how you move. If those boys know that you are here, of course they'll come after you. That's the truth. That's definitely.
Okay.
Poor journalists, if they get
No.
who is going to pay ransom?
It's not about, but you do not endanger them in the situation that we are in.
I'll see you in a little bit. Thanks for looking out for us. So basically they were saying that these are the local thugs that are paid by the government to come to these communities to intimidate people. And I don't know if you could see, but there was around 20 young men, and they were going around with one policeman and one military man, both with guns.
Take this way and go.
Okay, take this way. We're trying to find a back way out of this community so we can avoid the people that we encountered back there.
Nigeria's oil wealth has also been the source of many of its troubles. Unemployment and poverty are widespread. Violence is on the rise. But for many communities in the Delta, the greatest problem is the environmental damage oil has caused. Since it was first pumped in Nigeria, more than 1.5 million tons of oil has been spilled. We were invited to a small Ogoni village called Kedere to see how oil exploration has affected the local fishing.
It stopped raining briefly, and we're heading out. are you?
Good. Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, you got some fish there.
Very, very small.
Small
There's
fish.
no fish in the river.
Why not?
By the crude oil that has been continuously being spilled over everywhere. And then it has even come to the creeks, destroy most of the fishes.
Look at the came. Nothing.
So they're saying that they've been fishing for 6 hours now, and this is all they've got, these small fish here. They're saying that before the fish that they used to catch were much bigger than this.
I think you can see the crude oil here.
Really?
And you see the crude oil here.
Can we go see it?
That's something.
That's shiny.
Where?
There it is, crude oil.
You see the shiny there? That shiny part here? He says it's oil. That's all oil?
Yeah, all those here are crude oil.
Oh wow, you see it's actually black underneath. You see it? It's all shiny and black.
See?
Oh, you see over there on the tip there?
You perceive the odor here?
Yeah. You see the water gets all shiny, and on the tip of the bank over there it's all black?
Odor that kill the fish.
Yeah, it's incredible. I never thought it was going to be so visible. You see it's all black? This is oil. And you can actually see it. It's all over the water, and it smells. It smells like a gas station.
It's liquid.
So they're saying that this oil has spilled from an oil head, an oil well that is 100 meters away from here.
From here, and also from this wellhead here that flows.
And another wellhead over there. So all this area here has been affected by the oil spill. All this area has been polluted. And this is basically what they say is killing the fish and the animal, the marine life here.
There is nothing from the river. Our source of living has been destroyed because of oil exploration.
This is just one of the oil spills that is occurring here. And you can see, I mean, there's crude oil all over this land, and there's agriculture surrounding it. And it smells really badly. It's a really, really strong smell. And the crude oil is just gushing out. I mean, it's incredible how much is coming out.
At the spill site, I spoke with Barry Palap, the leader of MOSOP, the movement for the survival of the Ogoni people.
How does it suddenly, from one day to the other, start spilling oil? What happens?
The point is that the facility is very, very old. And because it's old, a lot of times you see it corrodes and ruptures, and you see oil is being spilled.
We've heard that many times these oil spills happen because there are people who are trying to steal the oil, and they come here and they damage the pipes, and that's why oil spills happen.
Well, I cannot say, because I'm not always here, I cannot say people at times cannot do any attempt to vandalize or whatever. But the greatest problem we have is that, one, these facilities are too old.
In the 1990s, Barry's group organized large non-violent protests in reaction to the environmental damage in Ogoniland. The movement drew international attention and became a bit of a cause célèbre, until the Nigerian government brutally repressed it, killing hundreds of Ogoni people and executing Ken Saro-Wiwa, the renowned leader of the struggle.
Oil has become more of a problem, a cause, than of benefit to us. There is more misery, poverty, disunity, exploitation, decline in agricultural produce, diseases, in fact, general despair.
Barry told me that since the peaceful movements were crushed, people are now turning to violence to effect change.
Because since they have gotten a government that does not respond to them, and they are dying, if they see a group of people who want to advance their cause, they will support it, and they are supporting it. I foresee a revolution coming. And how I wish I would be alive to witness it.
We just got today's paper, and on the cover there's a story about how a Scottish oil worker was abducted yesterday. He was working on an oil rig, and two speedboats stormed in with a group of militants at 3 a.m. in the morning. They overpowered the security and they took the Scottish oil worker. And this is basically the same facility where less than a year ago, 1 American and 6 British and 1 Canadian were also abducted from. This is becoming quite a common occurrence here.
With few exceptions, foreign hostages are normally released unharmed once ransom payments are made. But the increasing lawlessness in the Delta has caused at least one oil contractor, Houston-based Wilbros, to leave Nigeria after 45 years there. and other companies have been forced to cut their oil production and step up security for their staff. About an hour's boat ride from Port Harcourt is Bonny Island, home to Nigeria's main oil export terminal.
We've been here in Nigeria for 2 weeks now, and suddenly it looks like we're back in the US. It's incredible. The roads, the lights, there's an airstrip inside the compound. It's just another world. This is where the expats, the oil workers, live. And you see that it's protected by 3 fences, and there are cameras everywhere. And there's a golf course right here, and a jogging track right here. And looks just like any other American suburb. Just like extremely well protected American suburb.
This was where they attacked.
When they kidnapped the 3 Filipinos. So you're saying that this is where the militants came when they kidnapped the 3 Philippine oil workers here. And you can sort of see, I mean, this is a slum area and it's right next to the natural gas facility over there.
There are many different armed groups that are responsible for the rising number of kidnappings in the Delta. Some are plain criminals, gangs of unemployed youth looking to collect ransom. Others, like the Movement for the Emancipation of the Niger Delta, or MEND, say that they have a political agenda. MEND claims to be a collection of all militant groups fighting for a greater share of the region's oil wealth. It's our last day in the Delta, and we were finally able to arrange a meeting with the militants. We're meeting them at a port. And we were explicitly told that we are not allowed to film them until we actually meet them and get their permission. This is our guide calling us. She's ready downstairs, so let's see how that goes. By a group of 7 young men who claim to be members of MEND, and they're taking us to their base. We're not allowed to film them right now. Our escorts were armed to the teeth, and we rode with them for an hour and a half through narrow creeks, passing several small villages. The militants operate openly here. I was told they are in complete control. There is no police, there is no military. Arriving at their base, we were joined by 4 more boatloads of armed men. Finally, the commander, General Shoot at Sight, the dude in the wife beater, gave us the green light to begin filming. Then they began their show. In a region where most people get around in dugout canoes, these guys wanted to demonstrate their strength by flying around us with twin 85 horsepower engines. Hello, my name is Mariana. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, is that okay?
Yeah.
I would like to know what are the goals of your group of men?
The major objective of MENS is the emancipation of Niger Delta people. We have been suffering, despite the fact that the wealth is from this part of the country. But there is no meaningful development in Niger Delta area. We have been pushed to the world, seriously, by the oil communities and the federal government. Hence, we decided on our own to form a formidable body to fight for our development.
When you say you were pushed to war, what does that mean exactly?
The generation before tried to adopt what we call peaceful resolution, but the federal government designed special strategies to combat us with their forces. Hence, we decided on our own to resort to this type of nature.
They're explaining that they have 5,000 members in their group and they carry weapons such as AK-47s, RPGs. What else did you say? Mortars.
Part of strength. We are fighting for our right now. Whatever force that will confront us, by the grace of God, we are going to prevail. Thank you very much.
MEN's true numbers and strength are open to question, and since this video was shot, the line between politically motivated groups and criminal elements has become increasingly blurred. And MEND itself seems divided, with some factions calling for peace talks with the newly elected government of Nigeria, and others refusing to sign on. In an email exchange I had with men's shadowy leader, Jomo Gbomo, this is what he had to say. We hope to eventually destroy the capacity of Nigeria to export crude oil from the Niger Delta. I think the Niger Delta will soon descend into a full-blown war, which will last several years.